Everything overrated and underrated in the game of golf. For example, buying a brand new driver online for £450 without ever hitting it, versus buying arguably one of the most popular putters to ever be created for £35, including delivery. Surely that's got to be underrated. Well, that didn't take long at all. I'll leave the bloopers at the end of this video for you guys to see how many takes that actually took. But look how much tape I got left. Overrated versus underrated 2022. Let me know if I've missed anything in the comments. Let's do it. Drivers, overrated, ball speed in relation to drivers. It hasn't changed in the last 8 to 10 years. Ball speed is exactly the same. Hence why if you swing it at 100 miles an hour, the ball will come off the face at the middle at 150 miles an hour and no faster. Underrated when it comes to drivers, launch and spin. These two things actually will help your ball distance to go further, and when you go for a club fit and try new clubs and you gain 20-30 yards, it's because the club fit has done his job correctly and he's got the right launch and the right spin. But if you'd taken your 5-year-old driver and had multiple heads and shafts of that same model and got the launch and spin rate the same, guess what? You probably would have gained that 20-30 yards distance as well. Fairway woods, overrated. Few people might hurt me on this one, but I'm gonna just say it. 3 woods. I think a lot of people start this game, see a tour player build their bag and it goes driver, 3 wood. They do exactly the same. I'm all about lofting up off the fairway, especially when you're starting. And don't get me wrong, there's gonna be loads of you guys out there that use your 3 wood as a replacement to a driver and tight shots. You guys aren't the ones I'm talking to. You guys play off 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. But if you're starting this game, loft that bad boy up. Overrated when it comes to irons, distance. Why does everyone want so much distance with their irons? That's not their job. Driver, yes, we want that thing to go as far as it possibly can, but irons are about precision and control. They're your birdie machines. They're for you to stop, land and get within as close proximity to that flag as possible. So when you go for an iron fitting and you're standing there and they're going, look how far this 7 iron goes and it's going 190 yards, you don't want your 7 iron to go 190 yards. Underrated and heavily underlooked when it comes to irons is loft and lies, and this is even when they come straight from the manufacturer, as tolerances are all over the place in this game, especially over the last 2 years where manufacturing had to be at such a high peak for demand. Have a 6 iron that's lofted down by 1.5 degrees of meters tolerances, and then your 7 iron that's lofted up by 1.5 degrees, and then you have this massive gap between the two. So if you've ever wondered why one club goes really far and the other one doesn't necessarily, highly recommend just going and getting a loft and lie done for £20-25. Overrated £150 wedges, again for that mid to high handicap golfer. And the reason being, if someone spend £150 on wedge practice and wedge lessons, let's say, they would see a big increase in their backspin, their control, their dispersion, where a £150 brand new wedge won't. Now for your low handicap golfer that's playing multiple times and hitting their wedges 200 times every week off a grass range, buying a brand new wedge will make a difference to their spin rate and control. But for a lot of you guys that are hitting your wedges all over the place and don't have 9 different distances and don't necessarily have that control or spin rate, £150 invested in the lesson side of your wedge game opposed to a brand new shiny one that's promising you all this spin is just better invested. What is heavily underrated when it comes to wedges is your gapping though between your irons and your wedges, and a 48-degree wedge is one of my key tips to a lot of you guys that are finding this massive gap between your cavity back pitching wedge and then you go to that Vokey, because you don't necessarily have the gap wedge in the set and you want to get something that's going to merge it, get something that's strong lofted, and trust me, it will help in terms of compressing that ball when you've got such high lofted clubs at the bottom of the bag. Overrated, I don't have one anymore. Putters are just underrated in general. Like, we sleep on putters a lot. Even if you were to buy an expensive putter as a beginner, if that spurs you on to start practicing 2-3 hours a week, even at home on a mat or at the golf course, that is time well invested. And if you dramatically want to increase your game at no matter what handicap, I can guarantee you pressure practice, continuous practice, educated practice around the putter that's potentially fitted for you, especially if you're spending that kind of money on it, as well as honing your skills around the element of the game that's going to reward you the most, is always going to be a benefit. So underrated, just putting in general. The opposite could be said, however, for shafts, which I would deem heavily overrated, and it's only because I see so many amateur, mid, high, low golfers spend and invest so much time into the miracle cure, the secret sauce that shafts are put up on this pedestal. We are the variable. You have a bad back, you've been driving the car all week, you haven't eaten breakfast, you sore from the gym, that can change your swing path on the golf course by 10 degrees, 15 degrees. It can change your launch angle by 5, 6, 7 degrees up or down with your driver. It could lower your club head speed, or if you went to the gym for 3 months, it could increase your club head speed by 10 to 12 miles an hour. There's no shaft, expensive or cheap, that can do any of that. And even though they're important and they can be used to great effect, I feel like we waste too much time and money on the things. This next one was actually a comment on one of my previous overrated and underrated videos, and it's about practice. Spending money, 100 balls at the range versus going on the chipping and putting green for free for an hour. And even though there is both elements of this game, I will leave you with this: 70% of this game is around the wedge and putting arena. Yet we spend too much time and money on the driving range that only affects 30% of the game. And not only that, because the chipping and putting is such more of a finesse kind of skill, you're going to see dramatic results a lot quicker, especially when you're starting this game. When it comes to golf balls, I'd put it in the same category as shafts, where people potentially spend too much time, money and effort thinking about golf balls when there's just more simpler tricks to use them more effectively. Find a golf ball that you like, comfortable, feel, sound, X, Y and Z, and if that is something that you're confident using and is more than within your budget, then please carry on using it. One thing I would say that is heavily overlooked is an alignment with a golf ball, and yes, there is a lot of them out there, and massive push now from companies to put their own alignment, but you can also do this with any cheap golf ball that you find, just with a simple alignment tool, which can cost like £4 to £5. I highly recommend using it for your chipping and putting, getting that pure roll effect, because it will massively help you judge your swing path, club face, as well as your distance control. And my last one, coaching advice: overrated your mate that you go and play golf with. Just because his lesson that he got last week for 30 minutes has helped increase his distance and his driver, doesn't necessarily that advice is then going to help yours. And then underrated, which is probably a surprising one, YouTube videos. Like, a lot of lessons come to me almost ashamed to go, oh yeah, I've been watching too many YouTube videos. There's so much good coaching content out there by so many good golf coaches, and the problem isn't the content, it's diagnosing yourself. So the two things that I want you to go away from this, if you do like watching YouTube videos and you do like obviously learning off the internet, is watch ball flight laws and watch impact factors, because that's basically what every golf coach goes off. We find out why the ball's doing what it does, take it back to what's it doing at impact, and then what can we then change in your swing to obviously fix that. And if you know those rules and you know ball flights and you know impact factors, well, you can pretty much diagnose yourself, and there's tons of content on YouTube for you to do that. Let me know if I missed any, guys. Bloopers coming up. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys there. Everything overrated and underrated in 20 like this. Should be a good one, this. I'd say that's underrated. Brand new driver, online. Underrated. £5, including delivery. I'll say that's underrated. How on earth? Including delivery. That's got to be underrated. Everything overrated and underrated in the game of golf. For example, buying a brand new driver online for £450 without ever hitting it, versus buying, well, arguably one of the most popular putters to ever be created for £35, including delivery. Surely that's got to be underrated.